Welcome again to a new lesson of our online course. This course, at the fourth part of Business English Communication, is tackling two terms used in business: recruitment and selection. Both of them are important terms because they are always used in the human resource department when it comes to job opportunity. The outline here is certainly going to illustrate some ways used in the process of recruitment and how a person will be examined in terms of experience, qualifications, and so on. And we will end up with most selection used in several companies or job along with different exercises. Let's get started with the first section about recruitment. The process of finding people for a particular job is recruitment, or especially in American English, hiring. Someone who has been recruited is a recruit, or in American English, a hire. The company employs or hire them, and they join the company. A company may recruit employees directly or used outside the recruiters, recruitment agencies, or employment agencies. Outside specialists called headhunters may be used to find people for very important jobs and to persuade them to leave the organizations they already work for. Key people recruited like this are headhunted in a process of headhunting. Here there are some key points that need to be explained. Firstly, recruitment agency. For example, in Morocco we have a famous recruitment agency called Anapec, which all companies ask you to have a contract with before working for them. The second term is headhunter. For instance, if you have a good employee in a company, the headhunter tries to convince him or her to change the company by giving him more money that they used to have in the previous company. Good. At this stage, you will have a simple example of Fred who wants to apply for a new job. He will be talking about how to prepare certain papers. So, to understand what we mean by this, we will read this paragraph and I will explain some difficult terms. Fred is a van driver, but he was fed up with doing long trips. He looked in the situation vacant pages of his local newspaper, where a local supermarket was advertising for a van drivers for a new delivery service. He applied for the job by completing an application form and sending it in. Harry is a building engineer. He'd been working for the same company for 10 years, but he wanted a change. He looked at jobs with different engineering companies on a job website on the internet. He made an application, sending in his CV, curriculum vitae, the story of his life, and a covering letter explaining why he wants the job and why he was the right person for it. Application form here is meant to be a paper full of a certain questions, addressing some information of yours. The second paper is about CV or curriculum vitae, as you may see in the following picture. Inshallah, we will specialize a session about how to write a CV in English version, as well as a covering letter. In general, we will try to cover in our course the most useful information related to business area. Good. Here, selection procedures are considered very important, simply because it addresses some concepts as well as process to have a person employed in a particular company or other jobs. So, at first we should read the talk of Dagmar Segmet. Dagmar Segment is the head of recruitment of German telecommunications company. She talks about the selection process, the methods that the company uses to recruit people. We advertise in national newspapers and on the internet. We looked at the backgrounds of applicants, their experience of different jobs, and their education qualifications. We don't ask for handwritten letters of application, as people usually apply by email. Handwriting analysis belonging to the 19th century, we invite the most interesting candidates to a group discussion. Then we have individual interviews with each candidate. The head of the department is also present. We also give the candidate written psychometric test to assess their intelligence and personality. After this, we shortlist 3 or 4 candidates. We check their references by writing to their referees, previous employers, teachers, and so on that candidates have named in their applications. If the references are okay, we ask the candidates to come back for more interviews. Finally, we offer the job to someone, and if they turn it down, we have to think again. Some applicants may get other job offers at the same time as ours. We appoint someone only if we find the right person. We have the terms such as background of applicants, their experience of different jobs, and their educational qualifications. This simply refers to the information that exists in CV. Although handwriting analysis goes back to the 19th century just to make your words understandable, there are some companies that ask you to write your name in a paper because they want to say how good your handwriting is. But with the help of technology, you are required to know different forms of writing such as email. The next term is psychometric test. In Morocco, for instance, if you apply for being a policeman or policewoman, and if you succeed in written test, you will be asked to do a psychometric test during the interview test, with the purpose of measuring your IQ, attention, and so on. The verb shortlist is defined as the stage where you choose the suitable person for a job, then decides to call or email their previous employees or teacher. So to make this step easier, you must write down this information both in the last part of your CV, as you may see in the picture or cover letters. So I advise you to put information of persons who will say many good things about you. Then the last step, you are offered to have that job if you accept it. But if you refuse, they will ask another person. Here we have the first exercise. We should do it with the purpose of making sure that we somehow master certain vocabulary when they are used in different contexts. You can use words from the table to complete the following sentence. Take some minutes to do the exercise. Alright, let's have the answers. The process of finding people for particular jobs is, or especially in American English, is. So what do you think about 2 words that have the same meaning, but they are written differently from American English to British English? And you might find it in the table above. Here we have recruitment and hiring. That's good. And this one is for American. The first one is recruitment and the second is hiring. Number 2, a company may recruit employees directly or use outside recruitment agencies or employment agencies. Here it's clear because we have 2 key points that are going to help us understand what we are going to put here. And for sure, the words that we are going to put here should be a noun. So outsider recruiters, that's good. Number 3, he for the job by completing an and sending it in. Here we have the preposition for and job. And the verb that we are going to put here should always follow for. That's good. And because we have he, it should be in the singular person. So the verb that will fit in this context is apply. And we say he applies for the job by completing an and send it in. So the noun of applies is application. By completing an application and send it in. He made an application, sending in his curriculum vitae, the story of his working life. We need the abbreviation of these words, which is his CV, and covering explaining why he wants the job and why he was the right person for it. Whenever we apply for a particular job, they ask us to have some certain things like CV and covering letters. So we are going to put cover letters. We look at the applicants there of different jobs and their educational. Here, of course, all of these gaps should be filled with noun. That's good. And because we have applicant here, we are going to put the backgrounds of applicants. When we talk about previous job that has been done by the same person, we say their experience and their educational. Of course, it's gonna be like this, qualification, and all these information are written in the CV. We invite the most interesting candidates to a group. Of course, some company, when you apply for them for the first time, they ask you to make a group interview or an individual interview. So this one is gonna be a group interview. That's good. We, the job to someone, and if the down, we have to think again. If the, it, we, them. In the number 7, all the words that are going to be used here should be verbs. Of course, because we have down, the first one should be the opposite of the second. But we have we reflecting the company, and someone is the one who wants to apply for that job. We say we offer the job to someone, and if they turn down, we have to think again. If they accept it, we appoint them. That's good. Here is the second exercise. You are required to choose one of the words between the brackets. Please pause the video, do the exercise and play it again. Nice. Let's have the answers of each talk. That's good. I phoned to check on my application, but they said they had already someone. Here, because we have check on and to make sure that they are still looking for someone, and we have here already, the thing that is going to fit in this context is of course recruited, because the person who applied for it has been already recruited. That's good. This job is so important. I think we need to, here I'm going to help you to use some tricks to understand some exercises like this. For example, sometimes we focus on the meaning of the sentence, whereas some contexts we think of grammatical structures. And if you have a basic understanding of grammars, you are going to say that need to is a modal, and the verb that we are going to put here should be infinitive. So this one is infinitive, whereas this one is verb plus ed. So we are going to choose this. Nice. This job is so important, I think we need to headhunt someone. The selection process has lasted 3 months, but we are going to someone next week. Of course, this sentence looks like the second one because we have to, and the verb we are going to put here should be infinitive. And here accepts is written in singular person, so it's false. And the thing that is left here is appoint. We are going to appoint someone next week. I hope she, because if she, the job, we will have to start looking again. As we said before, when we have a condition, we have two choice between the first and the second. And because here ends up with, we will have to start looking for someone, of course it's gonna be if she turns down. This is as a second. Whereas the first, it's accepts. So in general we say, I hope she accepts, because if she turns down the job, we will have to start looking again. 5. That last applicant was very strong, but I understand he's had 2 other already. The word that we are going to put here should be a noun. And for sure, if we go to the words appoints, we will understand it's a verb, and the noun of it, it's appointment. Whereas offers has the same form of verb and a noun. 6. They are finally a new receptionist. And here, because we have finally, it's something already done. As we said in the number 1, we have recruited, because we have already. And here, the synonym of recruited is hired. That's good. They have finally hired a new receptionist. Computer programs wanted only those with Unix experience should. Here, of course, we have should as a modal. And the word that we are going to put here should be a verb infinitive. Here we have verb plus ed, whereas this one is verb infinitive. That's good. This is the third exercise in which you are going to tell us which categories of the two in the table should perform the rules presented by these verbs. What a company personal department does. Second, what a person looking for work does. Here we have some certain verbs. We have appoint. So what do you think? Is it the company who appoint or a person who appoints? Of course, it's the company. We are going to put number 1. Accept is number 2. Whereas hire is number 1. Heed hand, of course, number 1. Turn down, it's number 2, is the person who can refuse the job. Recruit is number 1. Looks like hire. Offer is number 1. Whereas apply is number 2. That's good, as you can see in the table below. Good. This is the fourth and the last exercise in addition to over to you activity. So here you are asked to change the underlined phrases with the corresponding term in business vocabulary. Here take your time to answer while pausing the video. Here are the answers. So I am going to replace these words while I am reading the paragraph. Good. Fred had already refused 2 job offers when he went for a discussion to see if he was suitable for the job. Of course, when you refuse a job, you turn it down. That's good. When you go for a particular job and they ask you that they should discuss something related to your background, education, your life, and this one, it's related to interview. They looked at his driving lessons and contacted previous employers Fred had mentioned in his application. When we talk about the previous employers or a teacher, we consider them as referees that should be put in the reference of your CV or covering letters. Good. And Fred said yes. Of course, when you said yes to something, you accept it. Harry didn't hear anything for 6 weeks, so he phoned the company. They told him that they had received a lot of requests for the job. When we talk about requests for a job, we talk about applications. After looking at the life stories of the people asking for the job and looking at what exams they had passed during their education. When you are asked in interview about something related to your life stories, of course you are going to mention the thing that exists in your CV. And people asking for the job, we consider them as applicants. That's good. And looking at what exams they had passed during their education is of course their qualifications. The company has chosen 6 people to interview. When we have the verb chosen in this context, we simply refer to the verb shortlisted. And we see he had shortlisted 6 people and then given them tests on their personality and intelligence. They had then given someone the job. When we talk about this kind of tests that requires your personality and intelligence, your memories and so on, we consider it as a psychometric test. Nice. Here over to you activity is meant to be answered by you because it will help you master all business terms used in our course. You will also situate yourself in one position either as a worker or as a student to have a point of view about yourself in a recruitment process. If you work, write about the stages of your recruitment. If you are a student, write an application for a job that you would like to have. This is the end of our course. We hope you have learned how the process of recruitment and selection are generally used in almost all business areas. Enjoy your lesson and wait for the coming episode. Thank you so much.